you know it's time. IAfootball is back, and we've got you covered with everything from the biggest hits to the biggest runs, from in-game highlights to post-game breakdowns.
We are here talking any and all high school football.
From day one all the way to the dome, we've got you covered at IAfootball.
Welcome in, everybody. Week 3 of Locks and Dogs is here. I do apologize. There was no rankings video on Monday. I was sick. It was not a fun weekend for me. We powered through. I feel a lot better. But going forward on Mondays, we will have new rankings coming out on YouTube only. That's how it's usually going to work. Didn't work this week, so I do apologize. We will be going back to our normal schedule next week. But as always, I'm joined by Nick. Nick, how we doing? Week 3 already here.
Yeah, I know. It's like tradition. Every year we get a few weeks in and I'm like, wow, it's going by so fast. It really does. Once it gets going, it's one thing after another. We're already week 3.
We're going to get into district play here soon. I know the small classes are already starting that. And then we're going to be starting to get into playoff talks, and we're going to be looking at the RPI and all that stuff. So it's going to be a ton of fun. But coming tomorrow, our Rankers picks will be here. If you want to see how they picked last week, you can go on Rockfin and look at that for free. It's really cool that you can do that. But here is, JK, we're going to go through this first. I want to do a video next week, folks, and I need your guys' help. Who has the best football name in the state? I'm looking to make a fun little video. I don't know how it's going to go. It might not be that cool, but I know there's some really cool names out there. For example, Nick and I both looked at one. Mine, off the top of my head, MMCRU Parker Glassmaker. As a defensive guy, that just sounds sick. Nick, who do you got for yours?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with Brock Trees from Osage. Actually a pretty solid defender. He's got 18 and a half tackles and 4 tackles for loss on the year. So that's my pick for the names. I'm interested to see what we get though.
Yeah, we need some comments. We need some help. Even if it's not that good or you think it might not be that good, just drop it in the comments because you never know. I might end up using it. But yeah, stuff like that, just football names. I don't know how else to describe it besides that, but I would like to do a fun video. So if you can help us out, please do that. Last week, here's how our rankers did. I don't know. I think our 3A ranker had a really good week. Our 5A ranker improved a lot. Overall, pretty good week. We're hitting at about the 70% clip, which is kind of what I expected. But again, as we know more, I think that number is going to get bigger and bigger. So that's how our rankers did last week. And as far as Nick and I, really, really good week, Nick Fox. You missed another lock, which is the issue. But we both hit 5 dogs, which does not happen a lot.
Yeah. Kind of a weird week. I don't know. I don't think that we've had a week. We'd have to go back and look. I don't think there's been a week where somebody's missed a lock 2 weeks in a row.
No.
But the fact that we're still tied is all that I care about. Like, whatever. It is what it is. You just got to move on.
No, I mean, the lock losing is whatever, but for people watching, hitting 5 dogs in a week is not easy. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know if we'll see that again. I think I hit 6 in 1 week, but that was really lucky. But yeah. I don't think hitting 5 dogs is a normal thing we're going to see. So that was a really good week for both of us. We're excited to bring you our picks this week. I will start, Nick, in Class 5A, going with Johnson as my lock over Ames. They just came off a loss to Dowling. I'm expecting a big bounce-back week. Trevin Helming has been good at quarterback. I know they're a little banged up, but Max Mink has also been really good on defense. So I'm going to roll with Johnson and the Dragons as my lock. And my dog, one of the few opportunities for a dog, I think. There's not as many. The slate isn't crazy in 5A, so I am going to go with Bettendorf at Prairie. I don't like picking against Prairie because this team has been really, really good, but I am going to go with Bettendorf. They're coming off a win at City High. Bettendorf won this game last year. It was a crazy 48-47 game. Hayden Morrison, Gavin Stecker are elite athletes for the Bulldogs, and I'm going to go with them this week. I'm going to go with Bettendorf to pull a mini upset over Prairie. That's going to be a really good game. I know James, our photographer, is going to be there, so if you see him, say what's up. But that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to roll Bettendorf, Nick.
All right, my lock for 5A this week, I'm going to go with Ankeny taking on Des Moines Roosevelt. Their running back, Daniel Larmy, has been just getting the rock these last 2 games. He's tied for first with most carries at 68. Ankeny's 4-0 since 2018 against Des Moines Roosevelt. And honestly, I just think this Ankeny team has a lot of upside going into the rest of this season. They're 1-1 on the year. They just beat Hawkeyes last week, and they had a 1-point loss to the now number 1 in Hawkeyes Northwest. So honestly, I think there's just a lot for this Ankeny team left to do this season. 500 right now, but I think they will be going far away from that win percentage as the year goes on. And my dog for this week, I'm going to go with Pleasant Valley taking on Iowa City West. I think I just took West as a lock last week, so I'm going to flip around here 180 and pick against them. Pleasant Valley needs to stop the two-headed monster at Iowa City West. Quarterback Reese Wheeler, he is just knocking these defensive socks off. 327 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. And in the backfield with him, Campbell Janis, 228 yards and a touchdown on the ground. That's priority number 1. I think Pleasant Valley needs to give this guy Evan Barr some more carries. He's got 132 yards and just 15 carries, not the most carries on the team. So I think if you're going to want to win this game, get him a couple more carries. And you got to protect the pocket. Iowa City West, 3 sacks and 14 tackles for loss in the last couple games. So if Pleasant Valley can win the game in the trenches, I think they can pull off the upset.
Yeah, another good game out in Eastern Iowa. Nick, I think that's where, I'm not going to lie, a lot of the really good games are this week are in Eastern Iowa, in the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area. And I think you're going to see that represented on our Where's IA post coming. A lot of guys out in that area, including myself. I'm super excited to get out there. Moving on to 4A, both my picks just faced off last week. And I don't know, I like doing that because I just saw them and I'm able to talk about them. But I'm going with Newton over Bondurant Farrar as my lock. 2 close games for Newton so far. Caden Klein, Isaiah Hansen, Finn Martin on offense are 3 elite athletes, but a guy that no one's talking about, Nick Milburn, 33.5 tackles in 2 games for him. He's a stud. He was flying all over the field last week. And just a get-back game for Newton on the road, coming off a tough loss to North Polk, who is my dog. I'm getting North Polk as a dog, and I'm going to take that as I can get it. How about this slate for North Polk? Lewis Central, Newton, and now ADM. They've won 2 close games against those first 2 opponents. Now they get ADM. It's going to be tough with Hudson Scholl. He is an elite athlete, and ADM's a really good team. But I think North Polk is a complete team, too. James Armstrong really commands that offense, and there's just not a weak spot. North Polk has won this game the last 2 years. I'm expecting this to be a really good game. This is probably the best game in the metro area is North Polk and ADM. I'm going to roll with the Comets as a dog, and they're going to open 3 in a row with 3 ranked wins and 3 wins inside the top 10 at that.
Yeah, there we go. A team that we were definitely questionable about going into the season. I think I mentioned that last weekend. And
questions are answered.
Yeah, no kidding. Prove us wrong. I love it. Class 4A, my lock for this week, I'm going to go with Gilbert. Gilbert might have their next elite running back. We watched Will Hawthorne for years just punish 4A teams week after week. Well, now they got a guy, Cameron Cantonwine. I hope I said that right. 314 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns already in his first 2 games here as the starter. He's already a top 5 rusher in 4A in those 2 categories. Could just be another year of the Tigers just dominating the run game, and it's looking like it's going to be that way. And how about Gilbert just in general, their program trending up? They lost 4 or less games for 6 seasons straight, and now they have 9 wins last season, and I think they had like 7 or 8 the year before. So this just overall is a school that's trending up and doing well in football, and I think they'll have another year like that. So give me them as a lock. And my dog this week, I'm going with CCA, taking on the uncontested number 1 ranked team in 4A so far with Cedar Rapids Xavier. Conlon Poynton, their quarterback, tied for first in rushing touchdowns at 4A. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the class so far. North Scott and Western Dubuque, a couple of pretty good challenges Xavier has had so far. They've had more success rushing, and that's kind of CCA's expertise so far going into this season with Poynton. And you just got to stop Cash Parks. I mean, he's been an elite quarterback in the class for the last couple years, and he's done just that so far. So those would be my key tips for CCA to win this game from somebody who never played high school football. So take it with a grain of salt. But I'll take CCA as the dog.
I love it. Another good game out in Eastern Iowa. And Canton Wine, Nick, I mean, he transferred from Ames as their quarterback last year. So when I saw he was coming to Gilbert, I was kind of curious how they're going to use him. And turns out they're going to use him for his legs. He's been having a great start to the season. That's good to see. Moving on to Class 3A, our player of the week from last week, Christopher Meyer of Independence. He had a great week. He won the fan vote. Congrats to him. A lot of Independence fans must have ran over to our IAfootball on Facebook page because he got a ton of votes, so congrats to him. Indy has scored 45 plus in back-to-back weeks. That's what they do. That offense is always potent. They can throw it, they can pass it, they can beat you however they want, and they're facing Crestwood this week. Braylon Beaver's been really good on defense too. I think Indy is a complete team, as they usually are in Class 3A. They've been kind of a steady hand inside of our top 16, even closer to our top 10 at most points, while our poll has been a thing. My dog this week, going Sioux Center over 4A Lamar's. These guys haven't played since 2020. Both are very balanced. Lamar's is coming off a loss to Heelan. Sioux Center is 2-0. Ezra Hibma has been really good under center for the Spartans. 4 interceptions for this Sioux Center defense in 2 weeks. Jamie Sitzman is not going to be easy to stop for Lamar's. I'm sorry. He's been really good so far, and Lamar's is a very good team in Class 4A. But I like what I've seen from Sioux Center, Nick. I think you talked about him last week, even that this is a team creeping to our top 16, trying to be a steady team in there, and I'm going to pick them to get a big upset this week.
Yeah, I think I had Sioux Center as a lock last week. Yeah, I agree with you. Sioux Center, a team that I'm kind of another school that's trending in the right direction. I think they maybe won 1 or 2 games last season, and they're started undefeated. So shout out to Sioux Center. My lock for this week in 3A, I'm going to go with Benton over Vinton Shellsburg. Carson Nolan's been balling out. They're coming off of a pretty decent loss. I mean, any loss sucks, but I mean, they kept it a 10-point game to the number 1 team in 3A. So kudos to them. But Carson Nolan, he's got 664 total yards and 6 touchdowns. You got a guy like that under center. I think I mentioned that preseason as well. You're going to be doing big things. 9-game win streak for Benton in this series. So it's been in Benton's favor for many years now. And quick shout out on the defensive side, Grant Valesky has 22 and a half tackles already. That is 3rd in 3A in tackles. So I've got Benton as my lock. My dog this week, I don't think we're going to have many opportunities to pick Bishop Heelan as a dog in this season. So I'm going to take it right here. Bishop Heelan taking on a 5A school with Sioux City East. A couple notes for this one. Kason Thomas is rolling again, the reigning 3A running back of the year. 211 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground for him. And how about an added bonus for Heelan? Noah Conley, quarterback, is 20 for 31, 230 yards passing. We were talking about Kason Thomas throughout the offseason going into this season. And Conley showing that, hey, I'm here too. He's been a big part of the offense. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough game. Cal Jepson for Sioux City East has been one of the best quarterbacks in the class. So it's going to be a tough test for either side, but I'll take Heelan for the upset.
Yeah, I talked about North Polk having one of the toughest 3-game stretches to open the season. Heelan right up there too. Opened with SBL, went and beat Lamar's. They're 2-0 against 2 ranked teams, looking to add a 3rd already before district play even starts. So definitely would be a good sign for the Crusaders. Moving on to Class 2A, going with Osage as my lock at Jessup. Osage won big in this game last year. Quinn Street, the name to know, leading passer, leading rusher. Brock Trees, as for mentioned in the beginning of this video, one of their guys on defense. They're just running the ball well. They're passing the ball well. I think Osage is kind of a team not talked about in 2A. Another team I don't think talked about enough in 2A is Okoboji. They face off against Emmitsburg this week at home. 2-0 teams. Like I said, Okoboji is a team I think is slept on maybe in two-way. They're outside of our poll, but could be creeping into it. They're going to pass the football. Emmitsburg is not. 404 passing yards to 9 in this game, so that's going to be where the difference is. I like Trey Vanderpool to make some good decisions when he does get the football. Emmitsburg is really going to control the ball, just like those teams that only run it do. They want to bleed the clock, so you got to take advantage when you are on offense, and I think Okoboji is going to do that. John Heller has been a monster on defense. I think he's going to help stop this Emmitsburg Hawkeyes team. So I'm going to take Okoboji as my two-way dog to tackle a ranked 1A team in Emmitsburg.
All right, my lock for this class, I'm going to go with Woodward Granger. Talon Fuse has been running wild, 384 rush yards and 6 rushing touchdowns for him. He is a quarterback and one of the better ones of the class at that. Really good start for Woodward Granger, honestly, at the beginning of the year. The offense, I think, just needs to keep rolling. They've got 28 points and 35 points in their last 2 games, and they've been great opponents in Madrid and Greene County. So I think if they just keep that momentum going forward, I think they'll do great things in this game. And my dog, I'm going to go with Sheraton over Centerville. I think Sheraton is freshly ranked for the first time this season, this week. And Centerville, I think, has been in there for the whole season, but they're down there in the rankings. Sheraton's offense been really great start, 39.5 points per game in these first couple games of the year. And they're kind of spreading the love with this offense. There's really no outlier players on the offensive side of things with crazy stats. And I think that's a really good spot to be in. You're not going to be having the double coverages and making sure you're stopping one guy to shut down the whole offense. To have all those options is a great sign of success for a team. So yeah, that'll be my dog pick for this week.
Yeah, that's a really good game. Centerville Sheraton is going to be a lot of fun. Those two, I believe you're right. I believe they're both ranked. I don't have those rankings right in front of me. We'll move on to Class 1A, though, and I'm going to go with a team that just got ranked last week in MVAO COU. The alphabet school, you can call them if you want to. The Rams have scored 40-plus in back-to-back weeks. Caden Schmidt, Manny Cameron. Manny Cameron had a great week 1. They run a balanced offense. Caden Schmidt had a great week 2, I believe. They're facing off against an Eastat County team that's 1-1. I'm going to take MVAO COU to win this week 3 matchup. And my dog, I'm going to go Beckman Catholic beating Maquoketa Valley at Maquoketa Valley. Maquoketa Valley coming off a tough loss to North Lynn. North Lynn is a really good team, and here they go. They get another quality opponent in Beckman Catholic. Beckman dismantled Columbus Catholic, dismantled Monticello. Gogol, Wolf, Kramer. I mean, those are the guys that know on offense. They run a balanced rushing attack, and the defense has been solid. 12 and a half tackles for loss through 2 weeks for this Beckman Catholic team. Another team that I feel like is a little underrated at this point in the year, and that's a big game out at Maquoketa Valley. Those are 2 really good teams going at it in some non-district play.
Yeah, absolutely. My lock for this week, I'm going to go with Union Community. Caden Sorensen's the name to know here so far. He just needs to keep balling, man. He's leading the team in passing and rushing with 5 total touchdowns. Good things happen when this guy gets the ball, so I think they just got to keep letting him do his thing. In the defense, just 25 total points in the last couple games. Olwine's been a team that struggled to score in the first couple games of the season, so I think that combination of Sorensen finding his groove and the defense playing really well, I think will work in great ways for Union Community. So I'll take the win there as my lock. My dog. How about we flip the script here?
Oh gosh. Hinton fans look away. We had no comments from Hinton people, so I don't think there's anyone watching the show from Hinton, so you're safe.
I don't think so. At least people who aren't mad enough at me to reach out and say something in the comments, which I can appreciate that, man.
Maybe they're watching in silence.
Yeah, that's right. I'll take Hinton this week. They're taking on Tri-Center, technically the reigning champs of another class. Listen, Hinton got blown out last week by MMCRU. There's no way around it. They're looking to bounce back in a big way. Their first game of the season, they played Galen Catholic. They found a lot of success in the run game. So I think if Hinton can find that groove that they found in that week one, just rushing the ball, you know it's going to work for you. So take that route. Tri-Center is obviously going to be a tough team to beat. AJ Harder is already proving to be yet again one of the best quarterbacks in the state and in the class. So, I mean, you just got to find a way to stop him. You got to find ways to score when you get the chance against a tough team like that. But I think for the first time on this podcast history, I will take Hinton as a winner.
There we go. We'll see next week if that works out. Both those teams coming off a loss too. I mean, Tri-Center lost to OABCIG, so two really good teams looking to get back in the win column there. That'll be a fun game out in Western Iowa. Moving on to Class A. Yes, I am picking an unranked Class A team as my lock. Clayton Ridge. These guys deserve some love. Seth Kriegel has been money under center for them. They're coming off a huge win against MFL Marmac that kind of shocked a lot of people. Keep winning, and they might just climb into those rankings. I think they're a little bit out of it right now, but you keep winning, you never know. They got Postville this week. They've won the last 5 in that series. Give me Clayton Ridge. I know I've never said that on this show. My dog. That's not a slight. That's not a slight. Sorry, I was just saying I've never picked Clayton Ridge on this show. So
no, it's all good. I'll speak for
my dog. I'm gonna go Galen Catholic. I feel like these guys have been a popular pick. They've been in a lot of the matchups that we've had. They got Sioux Center this week. Both teams coming off a loss. This is just a total vibes play. Nick and I were talking about it. Not a lot of Class A dogs to choose from, I feel like. We could be very wrong, but a lot of the ranked teams in Class A this week have some favorable matches. So I'm going to go Galen Catholic over Sioux Center. Stopping Michael Butner won't be easy for Galen Catholic, but I think this is a competitive team, and I think I'm ready for them to shock the world here. They lost to Hinton in week 1, and they get another shot at a ranked team right here. So give me Galen Catholic.
Yeah, I like the picks. My lock with this week, I'm going to go with ACGC. I should have mentioned these names. We've got I feel like they're football names: Titan Foster and Titus Hammer in the backfield for ACGC.
Yeah, that might make the list.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. That's what I'm saying. Both these guys just racking up big numbers for ACGC so far. Lots of success for the Chargers early in this season. On the other side of the ball, the defense just 6 points in the last 2 games, including a big goose egg in their first game of the season. So I'll take ACGC to have another win this week, this week, and potentially a dominant one at that. My dog for this week, like you said, man, hard. I mean, not a lot of big time games happening this week. Hard to pick the dogs. I'm going to go with Mount Air taking on Pleasantville. Mount Air, a team that's kind of been, I feel like they were ranked pretty well at the beginning of the season. They lost in a pretty high scoring game to Riverside last week, 44-32. When you're playing a team like Pleasantville, they've got Braylon Bingham, who a guy that we've talked about on multiple different sporting fields, right? He's a multi-sport athlete, and he just seems to excel at every single one, including here on the gridiron. Mount Air, I think they're just going to have to stop Braylon Bingham. They're going to have to turn it up. They had a good offensive game last week, and I think if they can reproduce that on top of a good defensive stand here against Pleasantville, I think something magical can happen out there in Pleasantville. So give me the Pirates. Good logo, too.
There you go.
Solid logo.
Nick approves. Moving on to Class 8, man. Turkey Valley, welcome to the rankings. Big jumper last week. Oh, I just lost Nick Fox. Okay. Oh. We're still going, Nick. This is just a part of the show. This is raw and uncut. I didn't even get started, though, so we're good. Turkey Valley, welcome to the rankings. They were the biggest, I think, jumper in 8-man last week in our ultimate rankings, like from 29 all the way to 16 or 15. Logan Busta leading the offense. J.D. Cruz leading the defense. They got West Central this week. And Turkey Valley coming off a big win against Janesville, which got them into the rankings, and now They're fighting to stay there. A lot of teams in Class 8 man staying in the 8-man poll is not necessarily easy, and they're going to look to do that. And another team looking to get into the rankings, Cam, and they have a great shot this week at Bedford. Now, I just took Bedford as a dog last week, and they won for me, and now I'm going against them. So I'm sorry to the Bedford Bulldogs. But I think Cam's a good team. This is an underrated 8-man matchup. Cam coming off a win over Kuhn in a shootout. Bedford obviously coming off a win over Lennox. Zach Kaufman, sophomore quarterback, can sling it. He loves finding his guy Colin Bauer. The Cam's always a good 8-man team. They're always a ton of fun. Quentin Dalton is not going to be fun to stop, though. He's been great for Bedford, and that's going to be a fun game. I don't know. I think, like we talked about, Nick, 8-man games, 8-man slates can be tough to find dogs, but I like Cam here, and I'm curious to see who you went with.
Yeah, we'll start with my lock here for this week in the 8-man. I'm going to go with Collins Maxwell. I'm not 100% sure if they're in the rankings for 8-man just yet. They might be well on their way here. Starting the year with 60 points in both games, 60 in week 1 against Baxter and 62 against Colonesco. And now they're taking on Meskwaki Settlement, a team that's struggled defensively, no stats in bound for them. But I think if Colin Maxwell just keeps playing the same way they have, I think they'll take care of business here. I think this is a really good chance for them to start 3-0 on the year. My dog for this week, I'm going to go with Springville. This team might have the hardest start to the season of any team in 8-man. They go Iowa Valley week 0, Montezuma week 1, Edgewood Colesburg week 2, and 0-3 in that stretch, unfortunately for them. Easton Valley fresh into the rankings for 8-man this week. I know that one. And this could be a chance for them to kind of dig their feet in, and kind of keep the ball rolling forward. Obviously not the start that you want to the season, but this is a great chance. I think this is a winnable game for them. And I think just what better way to keep your season moving forward than a ranked team that I think you have a pretty decent chance of beating. So I'll take Springville to get their first win of the season against Easton Valley.
Yeah, I love it. I don't like saying nothing's ever happened before, not knowing if it's true, but I don't know if a team in 8-man has ever opened against 4 straight ranked teams, or 3 straight, or 4 straight because they played week 0.
Yes.
Like the odds of that, I think there's 68 current 8-man teams, and the odds that your first 4 are against teams in the top 16 are pretty crazy. So that's pretty wild. I like that pick, the Orioles. Elite logo, by the way. I mean, you're an Oriole, and that's pretty sick. But we appreciate you guys joining Nick and I for week 3 Locks and Dogs. Again, I apologize that there wasn't a ranking show. There will be one this Monday, so you guys can see the rankings on Monday. But we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for tuning in.